What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear, and I promised you I was going to get you this video. Told you I was going to try and get up on Doomsday Clock. I didn't get into Mr. Oz and all the action comic stuff like I wanted to right away, but we are going to get to that stuff over time because, trust me, we got plenty of time. Doomsday Clock is already confirmed to be 12 issues deep, and we're going to go ahead and kick off this first one because, man, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it was explosive. I know I read a lot of stuff, people talking about how this was kind of a slow burn and, yeah, how it wasn't action-packed like everyone thought it was going to be. That wasn't the point. The point is, if you're going to go back and do anything Watchmen-related at all, anything where you're going to go back and touch on that universe, that beloved universe that was created by Alan Moore, I'm sorry, you have to do it in the same vein. You have to do it as a slow burn. And that's not really a bad thing because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, there's a lot of world building we have to do in this first issue to get us up to speed with what's been going on with Watchmen since we last left off with Rorschach's journal getting left at the papers, Night Owl and Silk Spectre 2 riding off into the sunset, presumably, and the aftermath of what Dr. Manhattan and Ozymandias pulled off. Like I said, there was a lot going on, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this book doesn't waste any time jumping right into it. But before we jump into it, let me know what comics you want me to make a video about. And right here is probably the best time to do it because I kind of throw it out casually, but just so you know, I have a list. Not unlike Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And I'm just ticking things off, and I touch on things as they become relevant. And basically what I do is I just roll a die and, assign things 1 through however many, and depending on what's on the list. And whatever I randomly roll on that D20 is what I do. But don't let that discourage you. Sound off in the comments. And if you're new to my channel, consider clicking subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and hit that bell button so you get notifications. Okay, so we see that the world is in disrepair. It is bad. People are rioting in the streets. Russia is invading Poland. Yeah, and much like we talked about in the Button Part 1 video, Adrienne Elle, Ozymandias, the smartest man alive, he has been outed because of Rorschach's journal, and he is now a man on the run. Go ahead and cue the music. Pretty much chaos is ensuing, and the threat of nuclear war is even more imminent than it was in Watchmen itself. And much as we speculated, Rorschach is back. And I love the way this was done. I love the fact that this book even opens up with narration by Rorschach in much the same diction as we had in Watchmen. Now, one of the things that people are probably going to get hot about, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, go ahead and this is your trigger warning. We see Rorschach bust into prison. And and the reason why he's so able to do this is because everyone is freaking out about the impending nuclear war. So police presence is pretty minimal. Prisoners are already escaping on their own. He just happens to be walking by. He goes in and we see him kind of stumbling through it, but he finally reaches a cell that he wants to get to, and he is trying to unleash a criminal by the name of Erica Manson, aka the Marionette. And she doesn't believe that he is the real Rorschach because rumor had already hit the street that he either committed suicide or he was killed or he disappeared. There's even a rumor running around that he killed Night Owl and Silk Spectre 2 and then killed himself. Like, there's all these stories, circulating, rumors about him. But let's just go ahead and just sit down, relax. This is not Walter Kovacs. This is not the original Rorschach. This is somebody else, and we don't know who he is. All we know is that he doesn't pull off his mask when he tries to reveal to the Marionette who he really is. He just pulls off a glove and raises a hand. And when he does, we see that he's a black man. Whoever he is, at the very least, we know that he is a black man, so he clearly is not Walter Kovacs. We kind of get a hint of this too in his dialogue because we know that the original Rorschach was all about his pork and beans, and he was a very brutal, very cold individual. This particular Rorschach is not, I mean, he's cold, but he's not like brutally cold the way that Walter Kovacs was. Whoever this is, he seems to have a little bit more humanity than the original Rorschach, which kind of defeats the purpose of the original Rorschach, you know, at least the way the character was portrayed. But I think this actually works because this particular version of Rorschach, it kind of gives him a little bit more to struggle with, because you can kind of tell when he talks, he's very conflicted about some of the things that he says and he does. You know, there's moments where, you know, he just kind of is like, ugh, okay, fine, I'll do it this way. Where the original Rorschach was not really that, you know, he wasn't that way. Also, this Rorschach is gaga for pancakes. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, some people will like it, some people will love it, some people will hate it. And, you know, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is, but you have been warned, and if you are triggered, you are triggered, and if you are not, well, you're just not. Some people have speculated that, you know, he's a character that we already know from DC Comics, that, you know, he could be any number of other characters. I've seen some people say that he might be John Jones. I think I saw Adlodix on Twitter say something about that. I've seen a few other people throw out some theories, some rumors. I mean, we don't know. We really just don't know. Now, bear with me a little bit. I don't think it's a character from DC. I don't think it's any character we've seen in like the DC Comics universe proper. I think, and this is kind of a deep cut, so bear with me, I'm probably wrong, and I'm fine if you think I'm wrong, but I think it's a character we've already seen in Watchmen. And if it is, there's only one character I can think of, and that's Dr. Malcolm Long. And for those of you who don't remember, Dr. Malcolm Long is the psychiatrist who visits Rorschach when he's in prison. And he actually tries to work with Rorschach and, you know, try and help rehabilitate him. And the reason why I think that it's him is because of anyone, he's one of the few people who's actually spoken to Rorschach at length and would know him, maybe not as well as like the Night Owl would know him, but he is probably one of the few people who actually knows Rorschach's base character traits and could probably imitate him. I mean, by the time the comic comes around, he's in the middle of a divorce from his wife, though I think technically at one point they were kind of trying to get it back together, and I know for a fact he was present when the giant psychic squid monster shows up, but there's really no evidence to show that he actually died, at least not that I remember. I could be wrong. I have a very poor recollection of that particular scene in Watchmen because, I mean, honestly, I thought it was stupid, and it kind of took me out of the book a little bit. I'm one of the few people who actually prefers the explosion from the movie. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But that's neither here nor there. This particular version of Rorschach, and you know, honestly, for all intents and purposes, let's just go ahead and say it, he is Rorschach now. Whoever he is, he's assumed the identity. Rorschach tells the marionette he has something that would get her on board to help him in his crusade. He has the whereabouts of her son. And she is not happy about this, but she relents and says that she'll go along with him if, and only if, she can take her husband with her. And her husband is Marcos Mayes, the Mime. And he's a very interesting character. He doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything. He really just, he does everything as what you would expect, like a mime. Not necessarily in his every single action, like he doesn't like walk around like he's in some kind of a box that he's trying to figure his way out of. I mean, that part about him, he acts relatively normal. But there's a point where they're trying to leave, and she says, well, he needs his things. He needs his weapons. So they go back into the lockup to get him, and when Rorschach opens the box, his lockbox up, he says, oh, somebody must have raided him and got him before we did. The mime just stares at this empty space without saying a word, reaches in, acts as though he's putting on a belt, and acts like he's grabbing all these weapons, and just has a smile on his face. They end up traveling through the sewers, and Rorschach doesn't remember which tunnel that he's supposed to go down to get to what he's trying to get to. And let's just go ahead and be fair, he's trying to get to Night Owl's headquarters. I mean, it's very obvious, because, yeah, it's the same circular sewer system that we remember from the comics. After a little brief argument between him, the Mime, and the marionette, Rorschach suddenly remembers, and they end up making it into the night owl, I guess the owl cave or whatever. I forget exactly what Night Owl calls it. But when they get there, yeah, and the Mime and the marionette, they've never been here before. They have no clue what's going on. They're still kind of lost and everything. And this is when we kind of get the throwaway line about how they thought that the rumor that Rorschach killed Night Owl and Silk Spectre before, killing himself. But that's not the real reveal. The real reveal comes when the marionette says, okay, so Night Owl's alive, and we're teaming up with you and the Night Owl. That's what's happening here. And that's not the case. We see Ozymandias, who shows up with his little lynx kitten creature thing. He comes and says, no, Rorschach's working for me. But Ozymandias kind of reflects upon the plan that he and Dr. Manhattan hatched together. And during his reflection, he realizes that there was no way to stop the Empire from falling. There was no way to actually save the world, and the plan, in retrospect, was not a good idea. He also reveals that he now currently has cancer, and makes you wonder if that's also a part of his close proximity to Dr. Manhattan, which thought I remember that this was something that was brought up to actually be a hoax, but maybe it was true. Maybe this was something he had even before his run-in with Dr. Manhattan. Who knows? I mean, we don't really know a whole lot yet. He says his dream has died, but he does know of one person who could save this world, and it's Dr. Manhattan, unsurprisingly. And that's when we learn what the mission is that Ozymandias has recruited Rorschach, and in turn had Rorschach recruit the marionette, and by proxy, the Mime. The job is to find Dr. Manhattan. And we close out the book in Metropolis, where we see Superman, sleeping in his bed next to Lois, and we see that, picture of Ma and Pa Kent, and we get a flashback to when he was still technically a teenager, and we see his struggling with, the idea of being amongst normal people, even though he's not normal. You can tell this is the time frame where, he was, kind of angsty about everything, and, upset at the fact that he's different and can't interact with people the way he would like to, and he can't share his secret, not even with Lana Lang, his, one of his closest friends at the time, probably his only friend, his only real friend at the time. This is also a moment where we reflect on the fact that Martha and Jonathan Kent die in a car wreck, and this is the first nightmare that Superman's ever had. Like, he wakes up in a cold sweat, he's freaking out, he's even kind of lifted off the sheets, like hovering over the bed. And Lois has to get him to calm down. But yes, we learn that this is the first time he's ever felt like legitimate fear in the night. And that's where the book ends. I mean, like I said, it may not be the most explosive thing in the world to most people because there's no action, but it is explosive in terms of what it is setting up for the future. I mean, now, I'm not gonna lie, there's gonna be some people who are gonna hate it, and that's to be expected. This book is gonna be divisive, and I think Jeff Johns and company kind of knew this going in. I think they knew that this was going to happen. Right now, I'm on board. I think this is going to be a good thing. I think this is going to work out. I think once we get a few more issues in and kind of see exactly what's going on, I think people are going to get on board with it, because I won't lie, a lot of people hold the original Watchmen book up on a pedestal, but let's be fair. It's a great book, but it's a slow burn read, and I want to say you're probably about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 issues deep before you even realize what you're actually reading. Like I said, I enjoyed it when I read it for the first time, but I won't lie, I think the only thing that actually made me read it and stick with it was because I wanted to see how close it would wind up being to the movie. But anyways, let me know what you all think about the first issue of Doomsday Clock if you've read it, and also let me know what you think about Rorschach and what you think his true identity is. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you click that like button. If you want to see more awesome videos like this one, click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap that bell button so you can get notifications. Once again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you next time. Plus Ultra.